Have you ever looked back at an old version of yourself and thought, what was I doing? Why did I stay so long? Why didn't I see it sooner? Why did it take me so much time to learn something that feels so obvious now? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the truth is, you didn't know earlier because life had not taught it to you yet. And that's what we're talking about today. So stick around. Hey y'all, welcome back to Ways of Change. I'm Vanessa, and this is day 91 out of 100 days of showing up, reflecting, and sharing this journey in real time. Today, no applications were submitted, but I did complete my engagement hour on LinkedIn, and that still counts as progress. Because not every day is about big outward moves. Some days are about consistency. Some days are about staying visible. Some days are about tending to the process even when there's no dramatic update. And the quote that sparked today's topic says, "Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time could teach." That one landed deep for me. Because if you're in a season of transition, reinvention, healing, or starting over, it's so easy to be hard on yourself for what you didn't know back then. But time teaches in a way that advice never can. Experience teaches in a way that books never can. And pain, disappointment, waiting, and growth, all of that has its own classroom. So today I want to talk about self-forgiveness, timing, and what it means to stop punishing yourself for lessons that could only be learned by living. I think one of the easiest things to do is to judge the past version of yourself from the comfort of your current awareness. Now that you know better, now that you see the pattern, now that you understand the red flags, now that you've gotten more wisdom, it's tempting to look back and say, I should have known. I should have left sooner. I should have spoken up. I should have believed in myself earlier. I should have made a different choice. But the truth is, friend, you made the best choice you could with the awareness, the strength, the support, and understanding you had at the time. That version of you was not stupid. That version of you was not weak. That version of you was learning. And sometimes we dishonor our own growth by acting like we were supposed to be at today's level years ago. You weren't supposed to know in year 1 what year 10 would teach you. You wasn't. You weren't supposed to have the language before you had the lived experience. You weren't supposed to have the wisdom before the process matured you. That lesson had a timeline. That revelation had a season. And so did our growth. There are some things nobody can explain to you in a way that fully lands until life walks you through it. People can warn you, yeah? People can encourage you. People can even try to protect you. But some lessons don't become real until you feel them. Time teaches you who's really for you. Time teaches you what peace actually feels like. Time teaches you what drains you, what grows you, and what humbles you, and what heals you. Time, y'all, teaches you what matters and what's just noise. Time teaches you the difference between being patient and settling. Time teaches you the difference between faith and fantasy. Time teaches you that some doors closing weren't punishment, they were protection. And I think one of the hardest parts of maturing is realizing that some lessons simply couldn't have come earlier. Not because you were behind, not because you failed, but because the lesson required time. A cake can't be rushed in the oven and still come out right. Fruit can't be yanked off the tree too soon and still be sweet. And wisdom usually doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in layers. So instead of shaming yourself for what you didn't know, honor the fact that life was teaching you step by step. Regret can be heavy, y'all. We talked about regret here. It can make you replay conversations, missed opportunities, wrong turns, old seasons over and over in your mind. It can make you wonder, who would you be if you had figured it out earlier? Regret can make you mourn time lost. And that part is real. Let's not pretend that regret doesn't sting. Sometimes you do look back and wish you had spoken up sooner, trusted yourself sooner, started sooner, stopped sooner, believed in God sooner, chosen peace sooner. That feeling is human, but regret becomes dangerous when it keeps you stuck in self-punishment instead of moving you into wisdom. There's a difference between reflection and torment. Reflection says, I see what happened and I want to grow from it. Torment says, I see what happened and I will keep condemning myself for it. And some of us have been carrying regret like it's some kind of payment plan for the past, as if beating ourselves up long enough will somehow rewrite the story. It won't. No. What it will do is steal your energy from the life that is waiting on you now. You can't heal and keep putting yourself on trial every day. You can't. At some point, you have to let the lesson be enough. My friend, forgiving yourself is not pretending nothing happened. It's not excusing bad choices. It's not denying what hurt you or what you regret. Forgiving yourself means saying, I accept that I was still becoming. I accept that I was learning. I accept that I didn't have then what I have now. I accept that God has still kept me, even through seasons where I didn't fully understand. That takes maturity, because sometimes it's easier to forgive other people than it is to forgive yourself, right? You can extend grace outward and still be ruthless inward. You can understand everybody else's humanity and still deny your own. But healing requires grace for yourself too. And I think self-forgiveness is one of the quiet ways we reclaim our power. When you forgive yourself, you stop living with your face turned towards the rearview mirror. You start facing forward. You stop identifying only with your mistakes and you start identifying with your growth. You stop asking, why didn't I know? And start asking, what is this wisdom preparing me for now? That's a different posture. That's a freer posture. Sometimes self-forgiveness looks dramatic, but most of the time it doesn't. Sometimes it looks like no longer rehearsing the old story every chance you get. Sometimes it looks like releasing shame around a season that taught you a whole lot. Sometimes it looks like not calling yourself foolish every time that memory comes back. Sometimes it looks like being gentler with the person you used to be every time you see that person you used to be it with. And in a season like this one, where I'm showing up every day, building something, job searching, stretching, learning, and trying to stay encouraged, I think this message is so timely because growth has a way of exposing all the things you wish you had figured out sooner. You start seeing patterns. You start noticing your old mindset. You start realizing where fear shaped your decisions. You start understanding your own capacity in a new way. And that can either make you bitter or better. And I want it to make me better. I don't want to spend the next chapter angry at the last one. I want to carry the lesson, not the shame. I want to carry the wisdom, not the self-condemnation. Because there's still too much ahead of me to stay emotionally parked in what I didn't know before. And I want that for you too. The verse I want to anchor today's episode in is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. That verse is so comforting to me because it reminds me that timing matters, y'all. Not just outcomes, not just prayers answered, not just doors opening, timing. And if God makes things beautiful in their time, then maybe part of faith is trusting that some understanding also comes in its time. Some healing comes in its time. Some revelations come in its time. Some courage comes in its time. Even clarity comes in its time. So maybe you didn't know earlier because it wasn't time yet. That doesn't mean God abandoned you. That doesn't mean you were foolish beyond repair. That doesn't mean the delay was meaningless. It means life was still unfolding. It means God was still working. It means the lesson was still becoming clear to you. And now that you know, now that you see, now that you've grown, you can move differently. Not with shame, with wisdom, power, and understanding. If today's message is for you, here's what I want you to hold on to. You are allowed to stop punishing yourself for being on a journey. You are allowed to have needed time. You are allowed to have learned the long way around. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you that didn't know yet. That doesn't make you late. That makes you human. Some people are still resisting lessons you've already learned. Some people are still stuck in patterns you've already outgrown. Some people are still pretending not to see what you now have the courage to face. So don't minimize your growth just because it took a little time. Time was part of the teaching. And maybe this chapter is not about wishing you had arrived sooner. Maybe it's about being grateful you arrived at all. So on day 91, that's the reminder. Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time could teach. Be grateful for what life has shown you. Be kind to the version of you that was figuring it out in real time. And be open to the wisdom that the season is still teaching you right now. Because you are not done growing, my friend. You are not done becoming. And you are definitely not disqualified because some lessons took longer than you expected. If this spoke to you, drop a comment and tell me, what's one lesson time has taught you that you couldn't have learned any other way? And if you're walking through your own season of change, transition, or reinvention, subscribe and come along with me here on Ways of Change. Thank you for rocking with me today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.